Hello everyone, hello friends, welcome back to Roxy Cottage Studio. I'm Karen and it is Sunday, which means it is Slow Stitch Sunday time. I am going to work on my Roxy's Journal Stitchery Volume 8 today. The latest prompt was favourite colour. Now I've actually already done this video, but somehow I managed to record it A, in slow motion, and B, with no volume. So here I am again. Let's give it another crack. So for my favourite colour is brown. So I was thinking about what I need to do in the context of this quilt with brown. And I have quite a few big, let me just zoom you out, you're very close here. Quite a few big solid colours on my quilt at the moment. There's some blue, there's some brown. So I needed something with a little bit more surface interest and difference in colour, if that makes sense. So I created a little block. Now I've already put 2 on. I created a little block of, I think it was 32 little 1.5 inch squares, and just made a little quilt block. So I've just put these on in 2 places. Here is a strip of 8, and then here at the top I've done another strip of 8. I'm happy with those. I still have this one. Let me bring it over. I still have this one, and I've just started to tea dye it. I put this on as a big block, and it was just too clean and just didn't work for me. So what we're going to do today, before we sew this on, is just age it up a bit. Not a massive amount. I don't want it to be completely catastrophically ruined, but I just need, it was just too much new clean stuff sticking out on my quilt. It didn't work. So what I've done to start is I've literally just got a bit of wadding with a bit of fluff all over it, and I've just dipped a bit of tea dye. This is the last of my tea dye. I've just been busy, and I've just been literally dipping it and just putting a little bit of colour on. So I'm probably happy pretty much with what it is, so let's get rid of that. I wanted it to just look like a little bit of H, you know, not too much. So I'm going to do now a little bit of sanding. So I thought I would show you how I do that. So I'm using a sandpaper for this. These are all quilting cottons. They're in pretty good condition. They're all new, or, you know, out of my stash. They're not vintage. I made this little block by just ironing onto a piece of this visor fix little squares, just lying them out so they align with each other as they butt up to each other, and then you simply just fold, sew there, fold, sew there, fold, sew there, and then do the same. Do a little clip where the corner's going to be and go back the other way, and you have a very, very quick quilt block. So if you are a non-sewer and you're going, oh great, I don't want to sit at the machine for 1,000 years, this literally took me 20 minutes to make. The visor fix you get from Spotlight in Australia, and you buy it by, and I've got a big whack of it here, by the meter. It's this stuff. It's got little glue dots on one side. So you line up your pieces and you just literally put the hot iron on them and they stick. So then, you know, they don't move, and you just fold and sew. It is really, really easy. Again, I did do a video of that whole process. Also did that in slow motion and with no volume, so I'm very sorry about that. I've done a photo series this morning of another block that I did, so I will put that up on my Instagram. So we are going to do a little bit of sanding, not a great deal. So I'm going to use this fine sandpaper that I got from my husband's shed, which was probably from Bunnings. It's just everyday sandpaper. So I just want to bring it down a little bit, not massively. So when I'm sanding, I tend to use this acrylic block, which is not what it was made for, but it's really hard. It's got really good corners and it has a really good edge. So if you're sanding, you can fold it over, and I will show you what I mean. You can fold it over the edge and you can sand, and it just gives you a surface to create a little bit more friction and to create immediately some effective sanding. Now this fabric's wet, it does sand a lot more easily and tear a lot more easily when it's wet, so I'm just being a bit careful. The video I just made, I was trying to really beat something up, so I, excuse me, I was quite rough with it. So with this, I'm just going to pretty much just work on the seams too, because I think it's the seams that I'm struggling with. They need to look a bit worn, you know, like seams are after a while, where they get folded. I'm just going to do a little bit of sanding, nothing major. tiny little bit of blotting with my my tea dye, and then I'll decide what I'll do with the other ones. I might have to take them off and do this as well, or it mightn't matter. But this one's going to be quite exposed, like quite a lot of him is going to stay out where you can see him, whereas the others are more covered up, going to be covered up. They're going to be kind of background elements. So this just stuck out like a sore toe. Let's see what the brown does. Right, let's have a look. Look, that's just beating it up gently. We're just going to do a little bit more across here. And again, these are a mixture of fabrics. You can alter how effective your sanding is by using a rougher sandpaper, by using the corner. Like if I use the corner here, you'll see immediately it gives me quite a hole. If that's what you're after. Only this brown bit's bothering me. There we go. And like I said in my last video, if you come from, Chateau Bundaberg rather than Chateau Lafite, we kind of got to create our own aged, old, beautiful things here. That's looking a lot better. And so that brown will just stain as it is. This bit down here is looking a bit left alone, so I'm just going to alter that. I'm happy with that. There's not a lot of damage. I'm going to do a little bit of damage with my steak knife, not too much. Probably just in the gingham, because the gingham I like it when it pulls the thread. Be careful with your steak knife. It's very easy to do some pretty effective aging, more than you planned on, say. I haven't decided what to do with the edges of this, so we'll just do a bit of that just to get them looking a bit older. So this just tends to, also if you just do it gently, it just roughs up the surface just enough that it looks, you can see how it just looks like it's had a bit of a graze. And obviously any bits that are more raised than others are going to feel that knife first. Okay. That's probably it. That's probably what I'm going to do. So let's find a spot for that on my quilt. This is Bundaberg. It will dry in like 2 minutes. It's nearly dry already. Let's just see if that works better for me. Favourite colour is brown. Did anyone else say their favourite colour was brown? I was hoping to find a few friends in the slow stitch community who are also loving brown. Okay, so this is where this is going to go. Over here on the left side, I've got this big area of quiet here. And so this is going to just sit here on top at the moment, and I'm going to stitch it on, and then we're going to have a think about whether the other ones then don't work or whether I need to get in there and beat them up a bit as well. Let's have a look. Let's roll it in. Let's stitch that on. Let me just check that it's straight, because I did stitch it on crooked last time. Good, I've hardly got any pins in it this week. So I'm going to choose a thread that's like a goldy. Yeah, it's just going to get lost in there pretty much. And I'm just going to stitch in the ditch basically. I'm going to stitch in the seams, and then if I'm having issues with the thread being too shiny, I'll just blot that down a bit as well. I mean, it is tempting to just dip the whole quilt when it's finished in tea dye just to see how that goes. but I think it would be too even then. Do you know what I mean? Like the colours would be all too similar. I just need to find my pins. Sorry. So it's Sunday, which means I've got to start thinking about going back to work. We do have another day off tomorrow because it's the King's birthday in Queensland. So that's a nice way to start the term. That pin is not good. I'm just going to do a couple of pins. So I'm going to stitch the middle square only. I'm going to leave the side bits up just so that gives me some options again for what I want to do with tucking things under or over. And also I haven't really decided what I want to do with the edge. I just need to sharpen my needle a little bit. There we go. I've been sewing through wet fabrics and doesn't really like it. So I'm just going to do little stitches as if that was hand quilted, just to contribute to the look of the old quilt block. And again, I've just done a photo series on how to put these little blocks together really quickly. It's a really cool technique because little blocks like this are actually so nice also to make into zipper pouches, you know, great for gifts, pencil cases, eyeglass holders, that sort of thing, but also great if you're a slow stitcher for making needle books or, you know, any sort of journal cover or journal that you want to make, or just having as, you know, a feature piece in something. Oh, there we go. Should have used a finer needle, but it's wet, and it's because it's wet I didn't want to find a needle because I didn't think it would go through very well. So again, I'm going to do the square in the middle, and I'm going to stitch through the seam if I can get it through. There we go. That's there. Trying not to lose my thread again, literally. Is it stitching time at your house? It's Sunday. Popping out later to see my daughter and her partner and their little bub, which I'm excited about, and that is it for the day. That is the plan. So I have my togs on. I'm doing extreme sewing. Well, I'm not anymore actually because I have an air conditioner now. Haven't got it on yet, but I've got my togs on. So I'll be having intermittent swims as the day heats up. Keep me cool. So I've been doing lots of sewing these holidays. I've really enjoyed it. It just brings home to me how much I want to retire, but we're a way off from that, unfortunately. So just make the most of the time when I have it. I have put together all the blocks for a vintage quilt that Mum and I are making. When, or we're making one each. When we were away, she bought a magazine, I think, at one of the op shops, and pulled this picture out of the quilt, of this quilt. That's gorgeous. So it's all repro fabrics in browns, and, you know, of course that was right up my alley. So I've put all the blocks together for that yesterday, and I've had to order some fabric for the sashings. I didn't have the colour, the teal, enough of the teal that I wanted. So, and then I've been working also on my quilt as you go log cabin, which is going to be my new classroom quilt. And I just do a block a time when I come down. So there's 24 blocks. I've done 8. So, you know, 16 days time, it'll be finished. Well, the top. Oh no, it will be finished because when you make that quilt, it's done. Then all you have to do is sew the blocks together and put a binding on. So that's a great way to use your scraps up. After coming back from Barrel, I've made a pact I need to be making some bigger quilts and things to use up my fabric, because I can't keep bringing fabric in and then cutting tiny little pieces for slow stitching. So, so I need to make sure I'm making some nice big things as well. So I'm going to go around the corner. That. This is like one of those puzzles that says if you've got an IQ over so and so, you could go around this in one line, but you know, I'm actually not even focusing on what I'm doing. So I know that quite a few of you went, if you're in Sydney and down in that area, you went to the Sewing Basket big sale. How was it? How was it? Was there lots of goodies? It looked great. I've been really good since we came home from Sydney. I have not been to an op shop. I have ruled myself out for the rest of the holidays. I need to make some holes in my stash before I add to my stash. That's the rule. So that was a big call. Kind of got fabric strapped to my arm to help me give up, you know, like they do with cigarettes. Wow. Might strap a few doilies on and see if that helps. So I've done there. Okay, I'm going to go all the way around. This is looking so much better with just that little bit of tea dyeing. Now I wonder if I can bring the others down a bit without having to take them off, because I've already sewn them on. You know, who has time to take things on and off again? And I reckon I can do it. So that might be the next job. Okay, I'm going to come up here. Go through there. That's where I want it. I've been looking at Envy with, oh, there's one pin there that's just sticking straight up. Let me open that up. It's twice it got me. Oh. Oops. Looking at Envy with the retreats that are happening in Europe at the moment. There's one that Deborah Dorwood, is it Deborah Dorwood? Is that at the moment at the Manor, I don't know how to pronounce it, but she's at this fabulous castle that actually has a moat and turrets. How fabulous. So I'm sure they're having a lovely time. Again. Oh, gee whiz. So that must be, yes, I just needed to move it a little bit. It must be through a thick layer of the couching on the doily underneath. This is good. A little bit of hand stitching makes this work for me. I might just go all the way across. Just again, stitching in the ditch. And I'm not too worried if it's a little bit puffy. Again, it's either all perfect or all imperfect. So, all imperfect. My Nautica quilt headed off to Japan this week, so that's exciting, to the Yokohama quilt show. So the big quilt show that used to be on in Japan every year, the Tokyo quilt show, was cancelled a couple of years ago, and it was one of the biggest ones in the world. So I don't know what happened there, if anyone knows. But this Yokohama quilt show has popped up, and I'll be interested to see what it's like. I'm going to go straight up. Yeah, much happier with this. I did sew it on before and put it on the wall and just went, oh my goodness, no. Oopsie daisy, just lost my quilt. So it's Sunday, which means I just got in time this week. Looking for another prompt tonight. Let's make a guess. I'm going to say lace. Maybe it'll be lace. Or a monogram. Maybe it's a monogram. Kind of the only two things that popped into my head. What's left? Maybe it will be an animal. I've already got a few animals. No, I've had a duck moment. Maybe it will be, I don't know. Go to the right here. Just turn him around, watch out for that pin from hell. That's looking so much better. So what did I just do? And this thread is good, that's worked well. It's not sticking out too much. It's not looking too new. Oops. Go through there, there we go. Alrighty, nearly there. What's the time? Must be time for brekkie. 11 o'clock. I've only had one coffee. Gosh, no wonder I'm a bit twitchy. You know, I think I could just easily spend all day, every day down here. It would not need to seek out anything else. Do you feel like that about your sewing space? That you could just find a project for every day. So I might start a new little series of shorts called Show and Tell, I think, because I keep talking about these things in my videos and then not showing anybody. So I might start a new series of Show and Tell, and I thought I might start one that's Machine Monday or something, because I'm trying to also do a bit more on the machine too. You know, use the beautiful fabrics that I have. I've missed one somewhere. Where is it? Is it that bit? There. So it'd be nice to share and get some input, and because, you know, I often get great ideas from you guys when you comment. Oh, I lost my thread. Particularly when I'm trying something new, you know. Again, I love living in regional Queensland. There's so many pluses, but the things we don't have is access to, you know, big groups of stitchers with similar passions to go and sit at and get, you know, get inspired and just have those conversations about design and stuff. So it's really nice when you guys comment and give me ideas and share what you've done. So thank you so much. And if you are a new subby, thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I know that Rachel has very generously been, you know, talking about me on her channel, so I'm really grateful. Thank you, Rachel. She's so lovely. I met her and Sarah last year in Harvey Bay at Corinne's Retreat, and they are just like you see them online, just so down to earth and so generous and creative. So thank you so much, Rachel. And if you've come here from Rachel's, welcome. Okay, my last little stitch, and then we're going to have a look at the other ones and see if I can live with them, because it's going to stick out to me like a sore thumb again now if I have this one looking all beat up and gorgeous and the others are screaming brand new. So we might have to do the Chateau Bundaberg effect again. Okay, let's just tie him off. So I am hoping that this video is working, that I haven't done anything, whatever I did yesterday. I don't know, or I don't know it's because the camera got hot, because it did do that. I thought I'd fixed that by reducing something or other that my very technical brother told me to reduce. All right, so I'm over here. Actually, let me just pull that up so it doesn't fall off the back. I'm over here now, this little guy. So it's the same block that I did. And now it looks stupid because look how new it looks. So, however, I have no desire at all to take it off and then redo it. So we are going to be very sneaky. We are going to do it where it is. So I'm going to just use a little bit. I'll probably take my thimble off. Just a little bit. Don't look. Just a little bit of tea dye. This is just a bit of wadding. Cotton wool would probably be better, but I just, you know, that's what it is really. And it was at hand. So let's just do, particularly my little squirrel. Look, that looks better already. Don't you think? And under here. So I've just stitched him as if he was there. You know, again, I've sewn everything, leaving a little flap in this project, so that if I came along like I did with this one and wanted to tuck under, I could. All right, so that is my tiny, tiny, tiny bit of tie-dye. Now I'm going to get my steak knife. I'm going to do a little tiny bit of damage just to help him on his way to fitting in with his mates. And again, I do like doing this with wet fabric. Can you see that that's just changing the surface of that brown? And it works really well. And let me just put that under. It works really well. Are you all the way in? Yeah. On dark fabrics, because you can really, particularly if it's got a white thread in it, because then it just quite often brings that little white thread to the surface and disrupts the pattern enough that you can see that it's aged. And it works really well on the little bumps where the seams are. So again, just doing a bit of gentle parenting. Look at that, that looks so much better. And in fact, the doily underneath is giving me the most perfect edge to work on. That looks so much better. Thank God I did that. All right, down here, this little rabbit. Let's try something else. Let's put something under him, because I like how that worked. What can I put under him? Let's put, hang on a minute. I'll even just put like some folded. Will that create a different edge? No, it's not thick enough. This guy probably will though. This poor little acrylic block, don't worry, it's not one I use for quilting now. I use it mainly for beating fabric up. That looks good. I'm just going to put a little tiny, tiny sand. And again, you know what, do this before you add it, but I don't want to take it off. You might think, oh, it doesn't make much difference. It does make a difference. Yeah, see that edge is good. If you use an edge, a hard edge, it just makes your sanding really effective. All right, Mr. Squirrel, your time has come. Let's give you a bit of a rough day. To refold my sandpaper. Yeah. That's better. Last bit. Find out if you fold it, see how it's kind of scrunched up? That's working really well with the knife because it's just giving it uneven bits. Alright, done. That's so much better. If you're thinking what the hell, it looks no different. Up close it really does. Okay, that's that bit done, but that makes me happy. My brown wasn't brown enough, so now it's super brown. Let's go back to the other side. Like, it's a little bit wet. It's not going to run. It's tea dye. It's Bundy. It'll dry in a second. Let's go back to this bit now. So it's also stitched on, but I've just stitched the middle. Oh man, that pin every time. Where is it? That's because it's going that way. I'm going to take it off. Let's have a look. Here it is. Let's do a bit of tea dye. I'm down to my last little bit of this. Let me just pop it over there. I am just going to pop that underneath. Is that something important? Oh yeah, need an eye test. And again, not very dense, not very wet, just wet enough to blot. And some of these new fabrics have a sizing on them, which means, you know, initially they are quite unhappy and will not absorb that. So I'm going to leave that under there. Let's do that. Where's my blotter? Lost me blob. Where did it go? How do I lose my blob? Here it is. I took it with me. There we go. Just a little bit of tea dye makes all of the difference. That's good. That's the end of my tea dye, I think, for the day. Let's just lift those little flaps up. I can just flap there for a minute. I'm going to just pop my mat under that one. And I'm going to pop this guy under this one, just to keep them off the light blue. I don't necessarily want any tea dye in there. So let's get my steak knife and get a bit mean. Awesome. And I find with this steak knife, you go with and across the, the waft and the weft, and it just really looks like that bit's, been rubbed on something. So let me pull down a bit. And has, so I'm just going to hit that seam a little bit, like that, because that's where wear first shows, and a bit up in the pattern. Now when I had this on the wall, this little house really stood out to me. It's kind of the only square man-made thing on here, so I am going to beat him up quite a bit just to break that image. Okay. Right, that's good. And this type of linen always just tears really easily, so you have to be a little bit careful. Sometimes you think you've done all this and you step back and go, oh, hardly affected that at all. Happy with that. Let's go to the other side. Let's just put you there. There's my sandpaper. It's going to tear off a little bit. That bit's a bit dead. Yeah, another bit here. Just after a line there. And then going down this way. And again, much easier to do before you sew it on, but that's not what I did, so that's not what we have. There's some more. I like it that just when you do the seams, it just, see how it makes the seams uneven? That immediately makes it look older. It's been washed a gazillion times, and oh, hang on, I've got something in the dryer. Just remembered. I'm just going to ignore my phone for a minute. That's just come out of the dryer. Look how awesome that looks. I'll come back to that. Let me just finish that. Was my mum calling? So once this little bit is done, we are ready to hang it up. Oh, sorry about the noise. Hang on a second. Okay, so I think that is done. Let me just roll it out and have a look. So thank you so much for popping in. Sorry about the phone calls. What do you think? That looks so much better. So that's just going to dry now. So that looks so much better. It's really just, this is how this one's dried off. Can you see? Looks good. And let's go back to the original one. Over here, where am I? And I didn't actually, it was already tea dyed. Yeah, I actually probably going to just add a little bit more tea dye to that one. I'm going to do that before I put it back up on the wall to dry. just because it dried quite light. So let's have a look, particularly through there. And I think that's why, see some of these white bits have ended up, oh, let me pull it up a bit so you can see. See some of the white bits are just a bit too white. Let's do brown. If you're going to do it, do it. Okay. Again, I'll pop a photo up on Instagram to show you how that looks when it's all finished. But what do you think? Brown, brown, brown. Best colour ever. If you love vintage, brown is where it's at. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.